Hello, everyone, and welcome back in. It's Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist. Welcome to the Mad Science Lab podcast. And let's do it. NFL Week 7, AFC Home Game Fantasy Football Preview. And we have games that don't suck. They don't suck.
How about that?
Unlike yesterday, they sucked. So yesterday, Jeremy and Jesse had to sit through some absolute dog shit matchups. No Jeremy today, so we quit sandbagging and we brought the real games in. Jeremy gets the backup stuff, so no sandbagging today. But that's what you get when he tells me for future efforts, go fuck yourself. So, Jeremy, you get the crappy games, So, got Jesse with me today. How's it going, Jesse?
It's going good. Trying to wolf down some food here real quick, but yeah, I'm ready to dive into these games after. It was actually an entertaining game yesterday, no matter how ugly some of the stuff was. It was actually a fun game yesterday, so hopefully the rest of the week can live up to it.
I agree. I'm a Saints fan. I don't think the team's very good. We can't win a brutal NFC South, so that should tell you all you need to know. I think the best way to describe it was disappointing. I didn't expect them to win. I thought at one point, I think I had Jacksonville everywhere. I thought to myself, oh, they're going to get boat raced. And it looked like that's how it was going to go. And then they made it close. And there were some just plays like with Olave, I was disappointed in. And Carr's throws, I was disappointed in. And then Foster Moreau has the game and drops it. I'm just going.
Yeah.
After that, it was just like that was their best chance. He dropped it. And next play looked like it just wasn't meant to be. And it was nowhere close to Olave. And I said, well, that was disappointing. Get everyone back into it and just shit the bed. So,
yeah,
not great.
Yeah, it is. They both struggle. They both have Olave and Ridley kind of doing similar things right now where they're both just struggling. But yeah, it was a good fight. They've just been really terrible in the red zone, so they got to figure that out.
Let's get right into it. We can kick things off. We got Packers at Broncos. What's this, a rematch of the 96 Super Bowl? 97 Super Bowl?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Was it Elway and Favre?
The helicopter Super Bowl, yeah.
That's how it was, you're right. So, let's start off with quarterback. One of my favorite starts of the week. Never thought I'd say those words. Jordan Love. It's the best matchup for a fantasy football quarterback. They are wonderful. Anywhere where I am desperate, I love them. Him. Jordan Love is a great start. I think he's probably still only a low-end QB1 at best, but he is definitely startable this week in a rough week. We have the fifth worst matchup for Russell Wilson. I am not starting Russell Wilson unless I have to. I don't know what my ranks say. I'm going to have to bring them up here quickly, but I sure hope that I have Love ahead of Wilson. I do. I have Love at 7 and Wilson at 10. I may move Wilson even further down. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think this is about the peak you can put Jordan Love any week, no matter who's playing or whatever. This is about as high as I'll rank him, or QB8 range. It's just we have some buys with some key players, and he gets boosted up there because it's a great matchup. And I will say,
just moved Russell Wilson down 6 spots while we were.
Yeah, I think he's my QB14. It's just he was so bad last
14, week. QB14. I moved him down to 14.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
14, so.
The Denver defense is getting a little healthier. They have some more players on the back end, so I do like this matchup a lot, but it might be a little less promising than we hope for. It's just, if Love can complete passes, which is, always the hardest thing with him. But yeah, it's a great matchup. I'm starting him, and I never thought I'd be super confident, but this is where we are in week 7. It's chaos. So Jordan Love, let's go with it.
Yep. Moving on to running back. It is a great week to do what everyone always does and stream or play your guys against the Broncos. It is also the best matchup for running back. So Aaron Jones, if he is healthy, you play him. A.J. Dillon, if Aaron Jones is out, A.J. Dillon is a start this week. It's the 11th best matchup for the Broncos, so I don't mind playing Javonte Williams. I think best case scenario in this matchup is you get a healthy Aaron Jones, who's probably an RB1. If not, you've got Javonte, who's, I would say, a 2. A.J. Dillon, probably a low-end 2. Jaleel McLaughlin, I think, is a desperation option. Looking at my rankings here, I've got Jones at 11. I've got Javonte at 18. Jaleel McLaughlin at 16. And A.J. Dillon down to 30. But that's with the assumption Aaron Jones is in. If Aaron Jones is out, AJ Dillon moves ahead of Jaleel McLaughlin for sure, and probably one spot or two spots ahead of Javonte. I'm not 100% sure right now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, with Dillon, he's just so frustrating. Even on his quote unquote blow up game, he wasn't good. He got the touchdown that kind of saved his day, but he was viable, and that's the best way you can look at Dillon. If Jones is out, Dillon will be viable. Is the way I'll say it.
Mike Davis, Alexander Madison.
Yeah, exactly right. Jaleel McLaughlin's exciting. It's just he's a low end RB3. Javonte is slowly. I think his PFF grades have gone up each week, and his yards after contact have slowly gone up each week. So he's getting back to the Javonte Williams we know. So yeah, you could have Javonte Williams as the RB2. I think I'm at RB20, give or take. But I'm much more excited about Aaron Jones if he plays. If he plays, he's a smash play of all these guys.
I had a whole bunch of Jaleel McLaughlin I added over the weeks because I was like, oh, maybe Javonte's not healthy. He's starting to look like he's going to take over this situation. And last week after the game, I was like, no, we're good. I dropped a whole lot of Jaleel McLaughlin. I'm like, no, we're good. This is going to be Javonte. This was a false alarm, people. So
yep.
Moving on to wide receiver. We finally have one that's not the best matchup for the Packers. It's a middle of the pack matchup against the Broncos. Watson still startable, Dobbs startable, Jaden Reed probably startable, especially in this week. I think my favorite of the three is Romeo Dobbs. I think they're all probably wide receiver threes for me. Second worst matchup of the week for the Broncos receivers. Sutton is my favorite of the three out of Judy. I'm interested to scan through my rankings here because I think this could be really interesting. I don't think any of them are in the top 30, and then you're probably going to see them bunched together. Oh, that's not true. I have Watson at 24, Sutton at 32, Judy at 36, Dobbs at 39, and then we have Jaden Reed down at 51, and I'm sure Mims is close by 60. So all all six of them fall between wide receiver, 28 and 60. So, or most of they're bunched together in like a 20 wide receiver section there. So,
yeah, whoever on the group Packer side, whoever gets Patrick Surtain, I don't want that player playing. And if it's Dobbs, he's going to drop significantly. So I haven't heard how they're going to play this defense, but if he's going to shadow Dobbs, then yeah, that's trouble for who's ever playing because he's a shutdown corner and he's the one good piece they have on the back end in Denver. So that could hamper it. But yeah, I have him. Dobbs and Watson are back-to-back 30, 33 range. And then, I guess Sutton, but you can't really count on him. It's just super frustrating with Russell Wilson and how that's been. And then there's the whole Jerry Jeudy situation, which I don't even really want to get into. But, he's just not good. You're hoping he gets traded because he's wide receiver 40 for me this week, and I have zero confidence in him. And Mims, maybe one day he gets some action. I don't know. It's like you're saying. It's unfortunate with these guys right now. But, hopefully he turns around.
Back to the Denver defense we all knew and expected. It is the best matchup for the Packers tight ends. Luke Musgrave in this shitty week is probably a low-end one for me. He's a useful start. Denver, Adam Troutman. I don't know what's his name. Who is it? Dulcich? Yeah, Dulcich. I don't know if Dulcich is back. I don't want any part of the tight ends in Denver. I want to see quickly Musgrave. Musgrave I have as 10. So it's a good week for him. Moving on to kicker. It's only the sixth best matchup for Anders Carlson of the Packers. So disappointing. And we have a Packer who's not the best matchup. You're playing him. He's been solid. I believe he's a rookie. He's been a solid rookie. Brother of Daniel Carlson. He's a good start. Will Lutz has been not great, and it's a not great matchup. So let's sit Will Lutz. His best days are behind him. Seventh best matchup for the Packers. I would be willing to bet that they are in my top 6 to 8 range. But look, they are 8 for me. It's almost like I've read my rankings before. And the Broncos are the bottom 10 matchup. I want nothing to do with the Broncos. Any major points of contention there?
Yeah, I'm just excited for Musgrave. He's back healthy, back on the field. He saw 7 targets last week. If he sees that again, he'll be fine. He'll be a low-end tight end one for you. And he's got upside. So, as much as I like Dulcich going into the year, I've just shifted into Musgrave. He's been good. He's promising. He's been on the field. So, yeah, definitely Musgrave over whatever's going on with the Denver tight ends.
Rest of season. Let's play a little game here. Rest of season, rank the 4 rookie tight ends. The 4 I will name are Musgrave, Mayer, Kincaid, Laporta.
All right, so Laporta by far.
Ignoring what they've already put up, what they're going to produce from week 7 on.
So I'm going to go Laporta, and then it's Musgrave and Mayer back to back. And then Kincaid's the farthest, like he's down the farthest. He's just not seeing the snaps in a row. So maybe that shifts, and I hope it does because I like Kincaid a lot. But yeah, that's how the rankings I have them right now. But after this week, I could end up flipping Musgrave and Mayer if Mayer like balls out again.
Time to clip this. This one's going to be a hot take. You're going to get to show me how to clip that. You know who my number 1 is? It's not Sam Laporta. Because Michael Mayer's about to go fucking nuclear. Michael Mayer, then it's going to be Sam Laporta. And I think Luke Musgrave could even challenge him. If we start to get healthy Lions running backs back, Josh Reynolds keeps being useful, and Jameson Williams is on the field. I could even I get it. Laporta is the easy one right now. I could see him slipping as low as 3. Kincaid is a mile behind right now at 4th.
Yeah, he's just not getting the snaps.
That's my hot take of the day. Thank you for joining me in Aaron's hot take corner. Moving on.
We're gonna clip it.
Or mentioned tight end. Yep, you're gonna teach me how to clip it. So that's a great example. Great learning opportunity there. Next up, we got the Lions and Ravens. I like this game. This might be my game of the week. Lions are underdogs in this one, but I took them as my upset. 2 elite defenses, 2 elite offenses, I think. Quarterback, it is the worst matchup of the week for Jared Goff. And it's funny, if you look at my underdog article, spoiler alert, because it hasn't been released till tomorrow. I think tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I have the under on passing yards for Jared Goff, but I took the over on receptions for both Laporta and St. Brown. Because I think it's just going to be a lot of short area stuff, and those are the only guys who are going to be doing anything. But I don't think this is a high-scoring one. I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest. But so, worst matchup for Goff, still probably going to be a borderline QB 1-2 there. He's just been too good, and the Lions just score too frequently. Lamar Jackson, middle of the pack matchup. I think he's a mid-range QB1. We'll see how I rank them. I have Lamar at 4 and Goff at 11. So once again, it's like I've almost read my rankings. What do you think?
Yeah, I have them a little bit closer. I think they're QB 6 and 8 with Lamar. It's really hard to rank Lamar lower than that. It was just the rushing he provides you. Even when he has down weeks, he still puts up 18 points. It's nice. And Goff, I think Goff could hit the under on his fantasy points. It's just all about the touchdowns for him because he's going to pass for a decent amount of yards. But
the reason I have Lamar sorry to interrupt. The reason I have Lamar so much higher, the Lions cannot stop quarterbacks from running. And that is Lamar's strong suit. I think he gets a 2 or 3 QB boost just based on the fact that he's probably going to have 60 to 80 yards here easy.
Yeah, if you look at his last 4 games, he has 14 attempts, 9 attempts, 6 and 13. So if he's pushing double digits in attempts against that defense, he's going to have a lot of yards.
Attempts,
yeah, rushing attempts. Yeah. Like he has 10 rushing attempts. Like that's going to be a lot of points, at least 5 to 10 points for you. So it's just a massive boost for him. But yeah, he's too good. Like they haven't hit. He's been graded really well. They've had some issues with the wide receiver room, so they figure that out. Lamar could show off in this game just because these offenses are dynamic, and if they both hit, this could be a real fun game to watch.
Okay, sorry, I'm reading. Someone sent me something on Twitter. I posted Calvin Ridley hate because I hate Calvin Ridley. He's still their wide receiver 1. He draws the best cornerback coverage and will continue to help get Kirk more open looks and ETN better rushing lanes. He just won't score the most fantasy points. So then he's not their wide receiver 1. I don't know.
Should actually look at the data and they'd be like, oh, he's actually not getting targeted the most throughout. But
even if that's not right, or even if he's right in that, if you don't notice at the beginning of my account, it says FF Mad Scientist. I'm a fantasy football account. When I say he's not the wide receiver 1, I mean for fantasy. I don't give a fuck what he is in real NFL. I don't play in the NFL. I play fantasy football. So I get it. He's their wide receiver 1. He's drawing all their coverage. Doesn't make him a wide receiver 1 for fantasy. It makes him their wide receiver 3 right now because it's actually fucking Zay who's getting all not Zay.
Kirk.
Kirk. Agnew was fucking getting out targeted yesterday. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's the Mike Williams thing where he draws the tougher coverages and runs the harder routes. doesn't mean he's going to be successful for fantasy. And like that's the thing. They're just like I think Harmon said it, where they're running him a lot more outside. And he's just doing all the outside routes, so it's just harder for him. He's not going to play in the slot a lot, so it is what it is when you have Kirk.
Back to the fun stuff. Moving on to running back. It is the worst matchup for the Ravens running backs. I want nothing to do with Edwards or Hill or whoever the hell it is. Middle of the pack matchup for the Lions. David Montgomery will still be out. I like Gibbs this week, who I think he was declared in today, or maybe just expected to play. But I feel like Gibbs in this matchup should see a decent workload. Baltimore's run defense is good, not great. I'm going to look. I feel like he's probably 15 for me-ish. No, he's not. He's 22, but I haven't moved him up, which I shall do now too. Yeah. I'm going to move him above James Cook and one below Aaron Jones. So that means I have Gibbs as 13 right now. I like the matchup and no David Montgomery. I know last time Montgomery was out, he got a lot of usage. It didn't really translate into fantasy points. I don't care. I'm going to follow the usage here in the elite talent. And I have him at 13, and I'm avoiding the Ravens running backs who Gus Edwards is RB32. Justice Hill is RB33 for me. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't want to touch either Baltimore running back. You just can't predict the usage and who's ever going to score the touchdown because that's what you're counting on. Neither one's a pass catcher. Like, they're not really doing anything. They're just splitting the work dead even. And yeah, Gibbs, like, I pushed him up to RB12 this week just because I expected him to be heavily involved. And ideally, he's going to see – because he didn't receive receiving work back in week 3 when he – had like 17 attempts. He only had like 2 rushing or receptions. So like I'm expecting that to more increase where he's kind of looking like DeAndre Swift this week. Like projections wise, I have them very similar. So that's where I have Gibbs. I'm very in on Gibbs this week. And I know it's like Baltimore's defense and all that, but like you're saying, you just bet on the talent.
Do you ever have something happen to you and you have an absolute moment of terror wash over you? So we normally record a lot of the times at 12:30. I have to leave work to go back to work around 1:30 right after. So I just looked down and I looked and said, "Oh my God, it's 12:27 and we're only on the second game." It didn't process that we'd started early. I was thinking it was 1:27. I'm going, I got to be back at work in 25 minutes. How are we going to get through 6 games? And I was, 12:25. Well, I'm an hour ahead of myself. Yeah, right. That moment of fear, like the ones where it's, I used to get it all the time where it's like, oh my God, I'm late for work. Oh, it's Sunday. I don't work.
Yep, I've been there. That's happened to me.
Absolute moment of terror. In the middle of you talking, I just went, just like an absolute moment of utter terror in me for just a brief second.
That happened with my daughter. She was out. Her and my wife went to visit their parents or her parents. And I woke up the other day. I was like, oh shit, I got to take my daughter to school. Then I realized after a second, like, oh no, wait, they're not home. She doesn't have to go to school. All right, cool. I was like, don't have to worry about it.
All righty. Now that the terror has subsided, wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown. It is the 6th worst matchup of the week. I don't care. Once I look at my rankings, I'm sure he's a wide receiver 1 for me. Mm-hmm. I don't mind flexing out of desperation Josh Reynolds. I don't mind flexing out of real desperation Jameson Williams if you need a home run swing. Desperate times. We're in injury/bypocalypse, by NATO, by Mageddon, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be some ugly options you're going to start, so that's where we're at with the Lions. It's the 13th best matchup for the Ravens. I am all over Zay Flowers. He is probably a borderline 1-2 for me. I want nobody else. I don't want OBJ. I don't want Rashad Bateman. Let me look at my rankings. St. Brown is 7th for me. I have Zay significantly lower than I expected. I have Zay at 20. Yeah. Just a sec. I have Zay at 13 is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
I love it. This is the nice thing. Like when I go through my initial run of projections to get them loaded up for the Thursday night game, it's straight up projections. I haven't done any of my rankings factoring into it. So that's what I like about our Thursday, Friday preview show. Once I get the rankings in, I can kind of go through now and adjust based on how I actually feel. But, I don't know how you start your process. Mine is straight up math projections. And then from there, I kind of go, it goes from straight up objective data to the subjective stuff. So I think
I'll have like guys like Lockett and Godwin ahead of Zay. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Like Zay's going above those guys.
That's exactly who I moved him above. I had Ridley, Evans, Hollywood Brown, Lockett, Godwin. He got bumped above all of them. He's now at 13, sandwiched between Puka and Devonta Smith. And then ARSB is at 7. And I think I'm going to actually move ARSB 1. Oh, okay. ARSB or Devonta Adams?
Oh,
In Chicago.
Yeah, it's real hard to knock Adams down lower.
Brian,
And like with Hoyer in too. Like the thing is, I think he's just gonna hyper target Adams like they did before, where he like massively targeted him. That's like so. Like my thing with Adams is he's such a good talent. Like I have a hard time knocking him like any lower than that. But like ASRB is ASRB.
I'm gonna leave it with ARSB at 7. Anyways, what do you think?
Yeah, because I was looking and I have McLaurin ahead of Amon-Ra, and I was like, no, flip those. Like so, I have Amon-Ra at 9 now this week, and like that's where I'm just like comfortable keeping him. I was like, I can't put McLaurin ahead of him. Like I get it, it's a good matchup and everything, but no, we're going with ASRB. But like back to these other wide receivers, Zay is the only guy in Baltimore I want. I don't care. Like don't give me these other guys unless it's like a super 16, 32 team league type stuff. Then sure, you can take a flex on Odell, or if you still have the candle lit for Bateman, then go for it. But no, thank you. And yeah, I like Reynolds. Reynolds is good. I've projected Jameson ahead of him, but like I just can't trust Jameson. He's getting no targets. He's not seeing enough work. So yeah, Reynolds is going to be like my wide receiver 40, and Jameson's like wide receiver 50. Or like if you want to take a dart throw, either one of those guys.
Okay, we'll move on here to tight end. I was just doing some research before I talk out my ass. It's the worst matchup for Sam Laporta, who's been battling injury and added competition, and he's kind of tailing it off a bit here as the defenses adjust to him. I think I'm still starting him as a low end 1. I don't love it. Mark Andrews, 7th best matchup. He is a must start, but I don't remember which column. I write so many articles. One of them this week, I discussed Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, and Zay Flowers is becoming a legitimate threat here. In the last 5 weeks, or the only 5 games Andrews has played, he's had 8, 5, 5, 10, and 6 targets. Flowers is taking up a lot more targets than anyone anticipated, and the Ravens may actually have their first wide receiver 1 in like 10 years, and I think this is starting to impact Andrews' overall ceiling to the point where I think I've moved him down even in my dynasty tight end rankings, where I'm pretty consistently taking TJ Hawkinson over Mark Andrews right now. And I know it may sound stupid to say, but Zay Flowers is really concerning for, Mark Andrews. It was just he was the one. It was the Kelsey. There's nobody else. That was his appeal. But, dealing with injuries and a legitimate number 1 here, I don't think don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's a bad tight end, but this is starting to limit that, tight end 1 overall ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think he's going to be the tight end 1. Kelsey's just, like, he's far and away above. The thing is, like, interesting.
He passes Hawkinson, though. I don't think he can outscore Hawkinson.
So, like, the weird thing for Hawkinson is, like, I just don't think he's that good, man. Like,
I don't think he's that
been
good
solid.
Either.
Yeah, so like he's been solid, Hawkinson. He's kind of fallen off a little bit too lately. And same with Laporta. He had the really hot start, but he saw 11 targets last week. Laporta did. So like that's like, hey, guess what? I'm still a featured part. These are my top 3 tight ends. It's like these 2 and Kelsey every week. Hawkinson's the next guy. He's usually my tight end 4. But like they're real close to each other. It's just like I'm betting on the talent. I think these guys are for superior tight ends right Hawkinson. So I just can't I can't bring myself to put Hawkinson above them for like season rankings and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's close.
It's Andrews is, like I said, it's more of a case against him not having the same season. And it's the same thing we argued in fantasy court the other day about Mahomes. It wasn't that Mahomes wasn't good. It's that in his current situation, I don't know if he has the number 1 at his position, potential anymore. Andrews is still elite. I just don't think with Zay Flowers, demanding as many targets as he's getting, I don't think he's got tight end 1 potential anymore. I think he's probably still the 2 or the 3, but, he had to have everything going in his favor to have Kelsey level upside. I think the days of him having Kelsey level upside are gone. It's Kelsey now, and that's it.
Yeah, it just shows how good Kelsey is. Like he's still just a tier.
Kelsey struggled with injury and hasn't looked great, and he looks significantly hampered, and he's still been better than ever.
He's playing like 60% of snaps, and he's just getting hyper targeted like no one else in the position. It's just wild how good he is. But yeah, like I traded Kelsey for Andrews in the dynasty league just because like I'm trying to get younger and like I don't feel great about it at the moment, but like it makes sense from a process standpoint. It's just like seeing that production difference from the 2. I'm like, fuck, I hate this. But thinking long term, hopefully it works out. But yeah, Yeah, they're both. These are like two of my favorite tight ends in the league. So yeah, I'm starting them every week. I'm not too worried about them. But yeah, I do worry about the high end ceiling you're talking about, Andrews. I think it's a little bit lower. Yeah. Oh, of course. Like I don't know how you could have two tight ends that you'd even consider above these guys. Like it's just.
I had leagues where, like I said, I stole one in a vampire league and roster. I had both, or I had all three of. It was tight end premium too. But I had all three of Hawkinson, Kelsey, and Andrews, and I still started all three. I ended up flexing two of them. I'm like, I don't care. But moving on to kicker here, we got Riley Patterson, who has been surprisingly good. It's the fifth best matchup. I think I want to start him as a low-end kicker one. It's not a great matchup for Tucker. Ninth worst. He has not been great. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities the way they've been playing. Having said that, he seems to really be a dagger. Like, love to put the dagger in the Lions. So I'm going to play him. I have him as my 4 this week, my number 4 ranked kicker. I think I want to move him down a couple of spots here. I have Patterson significantly lower, but Patterson's one I'm going to have to start moving up. So I'm gonna play Patterson. I'm probably gonna start Tucker too. You have no choice but to play him. You just gotta hope he finds his way. He's had a lot of duds. The defenses are interesting. I think both defenses are elite. The Lions get the 10th best matchup, and I would far prefer to play the Lions over the Ravens, as stupid as that sounds. The Ravens, it's the 28th best matchup. They're probably still a low-end DST1 for me. I don't love the matchup, but I think I'm playing both. Having said that, I can almost guarantee my projections have the Ravens higher. They do not. They have them back-to-back. 13 for the Lions, 14 for the Ravens. You can play them both. If you have better options, you can like stream someone and get away, but I don't hate either. You just got to hope that like these offenses and defense could go one of two ways. This could be a 13-10 defensive struggle or a 47-44 offensive just fucking massacre. I think it's more likely the defensive battle, but both teams protect the ball pretty well. Like Goff has how many interceptions? He got 1 interception?
Very few. I think he has 3. He has 3 on the year. And Lamar has very few. He's got 3 as well. So yeah, neither team turns. Like the thing is, the Lions have just been one of the more efficient offenses in the league, by far better than the Ravens. They're converting touchdowns at a much higher rate, and that's kind of the difference between the two. The Ravens have struggled in the end zone, so that's like the main difference. But yeah, like the Lions' offense is just stocked full of studs, and that's the thing you see. The line is one of the better. They got a really good quarterback who's playing at the peak of his powers. ASRB, Laporta, like Gibbs should be coming into his own. It's harder for me to pick the Ravens defense over the Lions. Like I trust the Lions defense with pass rush and stuff they can do more. And we do have a comment in the chat.
Good. We have about 6, 7 sexy matchups today. We'll get to the bad one next, but let's get that comment. Why are my graphics doing that? I hate that. All right, sorry. Dealing with graphical issues here. Half PPR, 10-man league. Hurts, AJB. Trade Ingram for Javonte. Just a sec.
Okay, so Hurts, AJB, Lamb. Okay, you got 2 stud wide receivers.
He's got Andrews as his starting tight end, so Ingram is a luxury.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Stevens, yeah, you make that deal. I'm not sold that Javonte is great, but you don't need Ingram unless it's a 2 tight end league.
Or super tight end premium, yeah.
You have Taylor and Brees, but injuries worry me. I think Taylor and Brees are your best 2, but then Javonte, Stevenson, and Mixon give you
and Swift too.
Like Swift. I don't think you need to make this trade, but I think I would rather have Javonte as running back depth than to have Ingram as Andrews depth. Like if Andrews gets hurt, oh well. But I think I make the trade.
Yep, same. I do the 2. Like you really don't need Javonte like we're talking about, but I think it's worth it to just.
Well, you don't need Ingram either. Is kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly. Like he there's a much more likely path he plays than is Ingram, right? Because running backs get injured and the players you have. It's just
What I would do here is see if you could make the trade Ingram for Javonte and then package Javonte with somebody else. Package him with who's a good sell high? DJ Moore.
Yep. If you can, because it's gonna be ugly for a while.
If you can package Javonte and CD Lamb for like Steph Diggs,
or Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Go for. Because this is a 10-team league, too, where every team is really good. So you really want the difference makers. Like, you have so much good depth here. You got Deontay Johnson. You got London, Pittman, DJ Moore. A lot of these guys are similar. So, yeah, like condense your assets multiple times if you can. You can do this 2 or 3 times. And like,
but
you
CeeDee Lamb hasn't been great. So I
do
think
with
his perceived value is still high. But so I think he's a great opportunity to pair. Or even if you add Javonte and you send Lamb and Mixon or Lamb and Stevenson to consolidate to Cooper Kupp, I think it's a win. But yeah, this is a roster right here that screams, maybe you don't necessarily have to do it now. Wait a couple of weeks to make sure you don't lose anyone to significant injury. But once you're comfortably in the playoffs, start consolidating some of these 3 or 4 middle assets into 1 or 2 big name ones, which could be tough in 10 man, but
yeah, it is harder. You might have to overpay, but it's not really
CeeDee Lamb and Javonte Williams, to me, sounds like it would, in theory, would sound like an overpay to Diggs. Like, I know a lot of leagues where Diggs is outplaying him, but to say Diggs for Lamb straight up isn't thank you, we appreciate that.
That'd be
Diggs for Lamb, heads up, or 1 for 1, isn't ridiculous. To throw in Javonte, especially if you could, or Cooper Kupp, you find a team that needs Javonte is what you do. So they say, fuck it, I'll take the slight downgrade at receiver, but CeeDee Lamb's still elite, even though he's not playing elite right now.
It's a massive downgrade. Yeah, it is a massive downgrade each week. Like going to, Lamb just hasn't been that good. So 100%. Like if you can
value, it might not be. Like you've got plenty of people, like unless you actually look at the numbers and know what you're doing, a lot of people are going to say, well, CeeDee Lamb's still a top 5 asset or whatever. Whereas you'd rather have him by a mile. So
for sure.
I think that's your best bet there.
Yep.
All right, let's get this shit fest out of the way. This is not the game we want to talk about. We got Commanders at Giants. Good God, this is ugly. Maybe this is why I forgot the graphic for this one, because it was selective amnesia. But
there ain't much on here to talk about, yeah.
Second best matchup for Daniel Jones if he plays. If he plays, I'm starting him as probably a high-end to mid-end, a QB2, a solid QB2. If it's Tyrod, I want no part of Tyrod. Yeah. Sam Howell, it's a middle-of-the-pack matchup. I get Sam Howell is massively inconsistent, but if you need upside, I love Sam Howell. I think he's probably a top 15 dynasty QB for me. I love his rushing ability. I love his big threat, like big play ability. I get it. He's going to blow up from time to time and just implode. But if you told me Daniel Jones was going to play this week, even in a better matchup, I far prefer Sam Howell to Daniel Jones. What do you think about these guys here? I mean, if it's Tyrod, ignore it because you don't play him unless you have to. I have Sam Howell at 9 this week.
Yeah, he's 12. I don't feel good about that ranking. I'm like, shit, it's him out. Like, both these QBs are super inconsistent.
You don't feel good because you think you're too low or too high?
Too high. Oh, God,
I've got him at 9, and I feel like I want to move him up. Look, okay, my 7 and 8 are Geno and Jordan Love. As we speak, I'm moving them above those two. I just moved Sam Howell to QB7.
Yeah, from a fantasy perspective, totally. It's just like looking at him as a real-life quarterback. That's the thing I struggle with actually both these quarterbacks. They're not great NFL quarterbacks, but they give you fantasy points, and that's the thing you kind of have to talk
about this. I'm a fantasy football account. I don't give a shit what you're like in real life.
It's just the floor with these guys is not that high. Like,
I get news for you. Like Lamar Jackson's not a good real life quarterback either. Justin Fields isn't, but they're elite in fantasy. That's all I can say.
It's so much better than these guys, though. It's like a world of difference.
No. I wasn't comparing Howell to those.
No, I know.
Howell to Fields. I get Fields is better, but it's not as far as it used to be.
Yeah, I actually think it's pretty close between the two of them, like how they're playing. Like, I don't think either one of those guys is that good right now. But like Howell gives you fantasy points. You can play him as like a low end QB1 this week, and if you have him as QB2 in Superflex, you're probably feeling pretty good. It's just,
I mean, he could absolutely kill your fucking week, but
yeah, like he has that 60-point game, the 0.6 points against Buffalo type shit, where you're like, good lord. But outside of that game, he's actually been really good. The lowest fantasy points he has is 16 on the year. So this is what we're talking about. Like, he's a high floor quarterback, unless it's just those fucking sacks, man. He's on pace for like a bajillion sacks. I think it's 94 or some nonsense everybody talks about. And they're drive killers.
That's how bad his offensive line is.
Yeah, it's both. Like, he holds on to the ball too long, tries to make plays, and that line sucks. And same thing with Daniel Jones. He's on pace for a ton of sacks. So
okay. Do you follow? I met her at the expo, and she's hilarious. Amanda, she's Cooter Doodle on Twitter.
Yeah, she's great.
She's been hilarious with this running bit where she just posted. She says, if your grandmother was in a Bukkake video, she would still see less sacks than Sam Howell does every week. I'm like, holy fuck!
For like 2 weeks. She's like, She did one where we was talking about seeing more nuts than Sam Howell. I was like,
Yeah.
good Lord, dude. I was like, this is too much. Yeah, she's great. And then the guy who runs Fantasy Life, Elliot Christ, was like, hey, hold on, time out. She's like, I did it for my personal account, so don't worry. He's like, okay, fair.
Yeah, brutal. But,
But,
my
yeah.
point was just I want to swing for the fences. I would rather have Sam Howell than Daniel Jones here.
Me too. I don't trust Daniel Jones at all right now. And it's just been the floor with him is actually a lot lower than Howell. He's been really bad this year. And they don't have any weapons, so at least Saquon's back. So hooray for that. But they need wide receivers, man.
A perfect transition to the only Giant I think I do want to start. Saquon Barkley. It's a middle of the pack matchup. I don't care. I'm starting Saquon. He's probably a mid to low end one for me when I look in a minute. It is the 5th best matchup for the Commanders. I think I want to start Brian Robinson as a 2. He's game script dependent. I think this game script is in his favor, so I want to play him, which means I probably want to sit Antonio Gibson. One sec here. I had to publish my updated rankings because I moved Sam Howell up like a fucking whack job. But I've got Saquon at 10. I've got Brian Robinson right after him at 12. And then I'm sure it's a long journey down to wherever. I have Gibson at 34. So.
Whew. Yeah, it's just Saquon sees the usage, man. He saw 29 opportunities last week when he was gimpy, was not close to healthy. They didn't care. They're like, we need you to survive. So they just fed him the ball. And he put up a decent day. It was inefficient, but he got you points. And then Robinson, it's game script. And they should be winning this game. They should be ahead. Obviously, this backfired a couple weeks ago where Gibson saw the work, but these are the games you're comfortable starting Brian Robinson. I know I rank him as like a low-end RB1, but he's like a middling RB2. Because of his floor is lower, I drop him each week just because of that. So, that's my whole issue with Robinson, but he's solid. I don't mind going with Robinson this week.
Wide receivers. It is the 2nd best matchup for the Giants, which is dangerous because I don't know who to start. If I had to start a Giants receiver, the easy decision for me is Wan'Dale Robinson. He's getting the targets. I think he's the most explosive. I mean, Jalen Hyatt's the fastest, but he's the shiftiest. I could start him as a 3. Terry McLaurin, I don't know where. I think I have him as a borderline 1, maybe a high-end 2. He's an easy start for me. Samuel, I can play as a 3. Dotson, I don't know what to do. Dotson should be a wide receiver 2 in this matchup. I don't know where the hell he is. He might not even be flex worthy. I'm gonna look, but I don't know if my projections are just gonna be high on Dotson or if not. But I'm gonna scroll through here quickly.
Where is Dotson? Let me check. I cannot type. That's not right.
I might either really high on McLaurin or really low. I'm low on McLaurin. I've got him at 18. That's got to change. I got to move him up.
Yeah, I got McLaurin. I flipped him and Amon-Ra. He's 11 for me. A funny story. Dotson's below Wan'Dale, so that shows you where I'm at with Dotson. I'm like, dude, I'm just done. I was telling people to drop him. I was like, you can't roster him until this gets figured out.
Samuel, he's my 2nd highest. Samuel, he's at 34.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver 3. He's solid. He's been involved. He's basically just getting the low. He's like a lesser version of Debo. He gets stuff a lot around line scrimmage. Sometimes they try to give him some carries, but yeah, he's seeing usage and he's been involved. Each week he's been solid. His targets 5, 3, 4, 8, 7, and 4. He gets a couple. It's not bad and it's working out. So yeah,
I have Wan'Dale 5 spots ahead of John Dotson, so I got you on that one. I agree. Yeah. Tight ends. Where the hell are they? Middle of the pack matchup for Logan Thomas. He seems to be hit and miss. I think if you need to start him because of some bye week issues, you can go for it here. It's not a great start. Same can probably be said for Waller. Slightly better matchup. It's 15. He's probably a low end tight end 1 for me. Play him if I have to. Don't really want to. Well, you're probably gonna have to. Kickers. It's the best matchup for Graham Gano. He hasn't been great, but if you're desperate, you can play him. It's a bad matchup for Joey Sly, who's been bad. I want nothing to do with him. And the DSTs, 5th best matchup for the Giants, who are a decent streamer for me this week. And it's the best matchup for the Commanders, who are an even better stream for me this week. If you think you can take 2 minutes here to fill out your thoughts on tight end, DST, and kicker, please do. My dog is losing his mind, and I have to let him
go for it. You're good.
So,
interestingly enough, Waller, we thought he was dead. He's alive. So, Waller, the last couple of weeks, he's seen 11 targets and 7 targets. And if he's seeing that usage, I don't really care. I'm starting Darren Waller. We thought it might have been worst case scenario for him, but They still desperately need him. Even with Wan'Dale Robinson and Saquon Barkley, there's still another potential piece they need. And Waller, like, he's been good. He put up 16 fantasy points 2 weeks ago, 9 last week. It's fine. Like, I get it. We were super worried about him. On the flip side, Logan Thomas is very much a boom bust tight end. He gets involved in certain game scripts and certain, like, teams. We thought the enemy was scheming him up. Last week he saw one target, right? So it's not great for Logan Thomas. So you could play him, but realistically, I don't want to start Logan Thomas this week. I'm going to look otherwise. Even though it's a solid matchup and all that, we're going to go away. Now, the defenses, you got to go with the Commanders' defense over the Giants' defense. Just based on the game script and how I expect this to play out, like, Commanders could really get to Daniel Jones and get a lot of sacks. So, like, of the two defenses, I trust the Commanders' defense more than I trust the Giants, who, Giants fantasy-wise, have been really bad defensively, but they've been okay for actual defense.
Next up, we have bad graphics on the screen again, because for some reason it auto adds it to the screen when I have the other graphics, and it pisses me off. Browns at Colts. This one's been close in the point spread, but I'm all over the Browns here. I don't know why they're getting so much disrespect. They are probably a top 6 team in the NFL for me right now. I love this squad. Start with the QBs. That's a mess. It's the 7th best matchup for Deshaun Watson if he plays. He is not my favorite part of this team. Actually, I don't like the offense at all. I think the offense sucks, but the defense might be a top 3 unit in the league.
Yep.
7th best matchup for Watson. If he plays, you've got to play him. He's probably also likely a QB1. I have him as – no, I don't. I have him as QB 14, so he's just outside, but you got to play him in this apocalypse here. On the other side, it is the 3rd worst matchup of the week for Gardner Minshew. He looked like he had the worst game I've ever seen from him, which is saying something last week. And I don't really want to play him. He's a desperation at best. He is QB 27 for me. 1 spot ahead of Mac Jones and Tyson Bagent. Yeah, there's only 26 teams playing this week. He is my QB 27.
Yeah, I really want no part of Gardner Minshew. He's proven who he is at this point. I know people still hold a candle for Minshew, but he's just a backup quarterback. He's capable of giving you spot starts here and there, but he's just not very good. And he's going up against the best defense he's seen this year. So it's going to be a rough day for him. There's going to be some turnovers, a lot of sacks. Like, he's just going to get pressured. It's going to be a rough day. So I do not want to start him under any circumstances. Like, I'll take a flyer like we were talking about with Bagent and those guys. I just don't want to do it. And yeah, like Watson, you're basically forced into starting him. He has not been very good this year, so there's like the caveat. But he's putting up, decent fantasy points. So that's really more what matters. It's just been 3-4 weeks since we've seen him. So if he's back to how he looked at the beginning of the season, he's going to give you fantasy points because he's rushing too. So, like, Watson by a mile in this matchup.
All righty, let's move on. Excuse me, to the running backs. We have Jonathan Taylor. It's the 6th worst matchup, or Zach Moss. This is another situation where I'm going to continue. Like, I'm starting Moss over Taylor probably for another week. I'm going to keep doing it until it burns me. Sooner or later, like every week, I'm going to start Moss as probably a high-end 2 and Taylor as a low-end 2. And if I have the 2 of them, sooner or later, I'm going to get burned, and then I'm never going to play Moss again, and it's going to be completely Barkley. I have Ford as the 8th best matchup of the week. I don't love him. He has not been great. I think he's a plotter. I don't think he's explosive. I don't think he's good, and he's a volume-based option. Having said that, it's tough for me. I think I go Moss. I get Moss is more likely to, bust here, and Ford's going to have the volume. I still think I'd rather Moss. I'm going to look at my rankings here. I hope I have Moss over Ford, but we'll see how the projections play out. I have Ford at 6. I do too. I have Ford at 16. I have Taylor the highest at 14, but once again, projections and Moss at 23. So all 3 I have as some range of RB2, but I think that's probably because my projections are factoring in that Taylor's the better player, and they're assuming that my model, my projections are assuming that Jonathan Taylor is going to recoup his role this week, whereas my actual feelings, I'm not so sure. So at some point, I'm going to switch over and trust in my projections, but until I've been burned, I'm going to keep riding Moss, and then all of a sudden, Moss will just be dead to me. So
Yeah, right. I mean, Moss has been super good. It's hard to blame you. Like, I am worried about Moss this week and Taylor. I'm kind of like, this looks like it's going to be a dead split week where you don't know how it's going to shake out. So the reason why I'm trusting Jerome Ford is he's going to see more snaps. It's a better matchup. Like, I'm not, and the offense is just a better situation this week. They're not going against the Browns defense. That Browns defense is terrifying, where I think it's kind of going to limit the rushing attack. So yeah, I'm going with Ford over both these guys. Yeah, I don't know. I think Ford's actually a pretty good running back. It's just compared to like Hunt, he actually has juice, and that's the thing like I care about.
I'd like to know where Hunt is in my rankings. I forgot about him. I think Hunt is also a top 24 running back. I have Hunt at 24. And if you gave me the option to play Hunt, it's not how I rank you, but if you told me I have Hunt or Ford, I'm playing Hunt over Ford. I don't care.
The thing about Hunt is he just hasn't been good, like per touch basis. He just has not been good. Like I think he kind of is what he is at this point in his career. Like he's a fine ancillary piece, but I don't really expect him. I could be wrong on this, but I don't expect him to take over that backfield. Like I just don't see that in his range of outcomes.
But if he has any role, the main appeal to Jerome Ford is volume, and it means it kills both of them. So wide receivers, 14th best matchup for Amari Cooper, so middle of the pack. I think he's probably a wide receiver 2 for me. I don't love it, especially if it's DTR or who was it? PJ Walker, was it? I don't even remember starting that quarterback. I don't love it.
It's just not good.
I want nobody else on there on the receiving core. It's the worst matchup of the week for Michael Pittman. I'm still starting Pittman probably as a high end 2. I'm playing Downs as probably a 3 despite the matchup. I'm going to look at my exact rankings here, but I assume they reflect that. I have Pittman needs to be moved up. I have actually Pittman below Cooper here, but I have them both as wide receiver 2s. That's going to change. Pittman is just so much better than Cooper. I don't care about the matchup. And I have Downs in the low 30s, so wide receiver 3. So kind of what I said. What do you think?
Yeah, like the thing with Pittman is he's going to get hyper targeted because he's the wide receiver 1 on that offense. And we saw last week he saw 14 freaking targets, and he was really good. Cooper actually saved the day for them because PJ Walker sucked, but Cooper was still able to be productive because he's a good NFL wide receiver, and he's having one of his better years. So they're pretty close in rankings. I have Cooper above Pittman. Like I could go back and forth between the two of them, but they're both mid wide receiver 2s this week. It's just I trust Watson much more going against any defense than I do trust Minshew going against the Browns defense, and that's kind of why I'm higher on Cooper than Pittman. But yeah, you can throw Downs in there. He'll be solid, like wide receiver 3. Let me see where's at my rankings. I'm not 100% sure. He looks to be wide receiver. I can't find him. Where is he? He is. That's not showing up. 49. That's where I have him. But like I'm gonna move him up a little bit than that. I trust him more than that. So that's kind of where I'm at with these wide receivers. Don't start another Browns wide receiver. Like I just don't even want to deal with that situation.
No, it's ugly. I want no part of it. You're 100% right. 1 sec. Sorry. Moving on to tight end. 6th worst matchup for the Colts. Doesn't matter. I don't want part of that mess anyways. 10th best matchup for David Njoku. I'm sure there are going to be fantasy teams out there that have to start David Njoku this week. I don't love it. He hasn't been good. I get it. There's been health issues, but I don't like the way this offense is playing right now, especially if it's a backup quarterback. Play him if you have it, but he's going to void for me. Kicker, Dustin Hopkins has the 3rd best matchup, but he's been terrible. He's a desperation-only option. Matt Gay, who has also not been great, he gets the 4th worst matchup of the week. He is a bench, so bench both of the kickers. As far as defenses go, it's a 9th or 10th worst matchup for the Browns. I don't hate it. I don't mind playing them. I think their defense is pretty much good enough to overcome any matchup. 4th best matchup for the Colts. I think they have low-end DST1 streaming appeal because I think this offense is kind of a mess. Having said that, let's check my rankings here. I have Cleveland as 3, so my projections don't give a shit what the matchup says. I don't think Indy's really played anyone, a lot of division rivals. So I've got Cleveland as 3. They're a great start. And the Colts as 13. They're a borderline start. Depends on what you got.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Browns have been like an incredible real-life defense, but it hasn't translated to fantasy yet. It's got to change at some point. Like, it's got to change.
You would think. All right. We got 3 games. We're taking our sweet time. What?
I said fingers crossed it changes, yeah.
taking our sweet time today. We still got 3 games left.
You do? Jesus. Okay.
Let's go to the worst of the 3 remaining games here. We have Bills at Patriots. We'll try and pick up the pace here a little. Okay, we'll start with the Bills. It is a bad matchup. 6th worst of the week for Josh Allen. I don't care. I'm starting him. I don't care if it's Bill Belichick. He's a top 3 quarterback. Matt Jones, it is the 2nd worst matchup of the week. I'm not starting him anyways. He is a desperation super flex option at best. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know in what world. Like, I'm playing skill position players on my super flex spot over Mac Jones. Like, I'm just not even considering playing him this week. Like, he's just, I mean, 1 QB out on the white Adam roster. And yeah, you play Josh Allen every week, no matter what. The interesting thing is, like, the Patriots defense has not been as good as it has been in years past. So I don't, like, I know they're fantasy-wise, they haven't given a ton of points, but their offense sucks. So nobody needs to really push the tempo against them. The thing about the Bills is they could just blow the doors off of the Patriots in this game. So yeah, like, you just roll that one.
Running backs, it is a top 12 matchup for both, but both are scary because both have struggled. 9th best matchup for Stevenson, 12th best matchup for Cook. I don't know why I always call him Cook. I'm trying to see who I have higher. I don't really like either of them. I have Cook at 15. Yeah. I have Ramondre at 17. I think they're both solid RB2s with significant risk. I don't really like either of them. I think I would prefer Cook because the potential high-scoring side of the offense instead of the low-scoring dog shit side. But I don't really love either of them. I think they're 2 of the bigger busts so far at running back.
Yeah, and Ramondre was going significantly above Cook in drafts, so like he's been a substantial bust. It's just he has been terrible this year. I don't know if he's dealing with injury or what, but like Ezekiel Elliott looks explosive compared to Ramondre Stevens, so I don't know what the hell is going on, but he just looks bad. And Cook, he just limited role. It's not panning out how I hoped it would, but it's just a better offense, and he's been fine. So yeah, we'll go Cook over Stevenson this week.
Receivers, 10th worst matchup for the Patriots. Kendrick Bourne is a desperation play if you have to. Like I said, rough times with the bye, so you might have to play him. I don't hate him. I'm sure he's probably in my top 40, barely. For the Bills, it's a middle-of-the-pack matchup. Diggs is obviously a high-end one. I think this week you can start Gabe Davis because Bill Belichick's known to really hyper cover the wide receiver 1, which may leave Gabe Davis open for a few looks. Having said that, I think, Diggs is 3 for me. Yeah, Diggs is 3, and then I don't have either of them. The next one is Gabe Davis at 31, and Bourne at 41. So it's pretty much Steph Diggs or bust. But you can play Davis as a 3 or a flex if you need him.
Yeah, Davis and Bourne are a lot closer in rankings, but there's no way I'm even considering playing Bourne over Davis. At least Davis has like something he can give you. Bourne had 11 targets, and he's probably going to give you 2 targets this week. He's 2 boomer best.
The tight ends are easy. You sit them both if you can. 3rd worst matchup for the Patriots. Hunter Henry seems to have lost some of his earlier season hype, and he's just not doing anything. Middle of the pack matchup for the Bills. I don't really want to start Kincaid or Knox until one of them wins the role outright. Kickers, 2nd best matchup of the week for Tyler Bass. He's a weekly must start. You're starting him. 5th worst matchup of the week for Ryland, who's been struggling as a rookie. I don't want any part of him this week. 2nd best matchup for the Bills. They are probably my DST1 on the week. 6th worst matchup for the Patriots. I'm not touching them with a 10-foot pole at DST, which sucks because coming into the season, they were probably a consensus top 6 to 8 DST, but I want no part of them. You?
Yeah, no shot. No world I'm playing the freaking Patriots defense. Like, that's just awful. And yeah, Bills, like, it's a high-end defense and an ideal matchup against a terrible offense. Like, it's that simple. You just play the Bills.
What's Sunday night? Dolphins, Eagles?
Sunday night is... Yeah, Miami and Philly.
Dolphins,
yeah.
Eagles. Yeah, okay. I had 2 games left, and I couldn't remember which was my Monday and which was Sunday. Okay, so we've got Dolphins at Eagles on Sunday night. I just said it, and I still fucked it. Sunday night. This one's easy at quarterback. Hurts is the 8th best matchup. You're playing him as a top 3 option. Tua is the 6th best matchup. You're playing him as, I believe, probably a top 6 option. Look at my rankings here. Top 5. So I've got Hurts as my 1, Allen as my 3, Tua as my 5. So they're both must starts. You can't get away from them, right?
Yeah, I unless you have like two really good quarterbacks, you could think about benching Tua. But like Hurts is my QB1 this week. I'm not even.
Yeah.
It's Hurts, and Tua's incredible. The Eagles defense has not been that good, so like I would expect Tua to go off this matchup as well.
I have 2 top 7 running backs in this game. It's the 13th best matchup of the week for DeAndre Swift, whose usage has been elite. He is my RB5. It is the third worst matchup for Raheem Mostert. I don't care. Excuse me. He is my RB7. I am smash starting both of them. For as long as they appear to be the number ones in their offense. They are middle of the pack RB1s.
Yeah, exactly that. And if you need like a desperation flex running back, you could go throw a flyer on Jeff Wilson and see if it works out this week, because you never know. Like you want every running back in like starting running back in this game. I want all Dolphins running backs. So yeah.
Wide receiver, 4th best matchup for the Dolphins, 9th best for the Eagles. It doesn't matter if you have their players, you're starting them. Tyreek's my 1, AJ Brown's my 5, Waddle's my 8, and the lowest of the 4 big boys is Devontae Smith, who still checks in at 14. So this game has 2 top 5 quarterbacks, 2 top 7 running backs, and 4 top 14 wide receivers. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And watch, it'll be 7-3.
I know it's gonna be like that too. It always happens. But yeah, it's fireworks. Tyreek Hill's on pace to put the best wide receiver season of all time. AJ Brown's a monster. Waddle's coming off of the injury. He had like 30% target share last week. And Devonta, we need you, buddy. Time to pick it up. So this is a great game for Devonta to figure it out. Yeah, like these 4, you're just playing. Like it's just that simple. Just play them all.
Tight ends, it's not as simple. Goddard's the 12th best matchup. I'm playing him as a low-end tight end 1. Durham Smythe, 11th best. I'm sitting him. I'm just not interested. Kicker, 11th best matchup for Elliott. He's been good. I'm playing him. 3rd worst matchup for Sanders. He's been good. If you have no other alternative, you can play him, but I would look to pivot. I love the Eagles defense. I'm not playing them this week. I don't love the Dolphins defense. I'm not playing them this week. I don't know where I have either ranked. I'd have to look, but I'm not playing either this week because both teams could score 50 points. I have the Eagles ranked as 19, which is probably 15 spots lower than I've ever had them ranked, and I have the Dolphins ranked at 20. So I want no part of either DST in this one.
Yeah, just a hard pass. Hard pass on the defenses.
Yeah. Did you hear the offensive weapons we just ranked? Do not play anyone on defense. What did I say? 2 top 5 quarterbacks, 4 top 15 receivers, and 2 top 6 running backs or something like that? Yeah. Don't play the defense.
No. You're asking for trouble.
This is not where you want to find a DST streamer. It's funny, though. I don't know how many times I've had people message me and say, hey, I need to stream a defense, and there's, the Dolphins and Eagles the Eagles are like DST 5, and they're on my waiver wire. Yeah, they're on your waiver wire because you can't play them this week. That's why they're on your waiver wire. Let's tap it up here with the Monday Nighter, Chargers and Chiefs. Another situation of a lot of weapons I'm going to play. 11th best matchup for Mahomes. He is my QB2 on the week. It is a low-end, 9th worst matchup for Herbert. I don't care. I am playing Herbert regardless. He has been awesome. He is probably, I think he's my QB 4 or 6. I don't remember. 6. He's my QB 6. So you're playing both. We got another one with 2 top 6 quarterbacks. Good time.
Yeah, it's that simple. You just start both these guys. Like, if you imagine having to choose between like Mahomes and Herbert or something this week, you'd be like, cool. Good luck with that one. But yeah, they're both just elite options. It's fireworks once again.
Running backs, it's a bad matchup for Eckler, 5th worst. I don't care. I'm playing him as an RB1 if he's healthy, if he plays. No. Pacheco, middle of the pack matchup. Don't care. I'm probably playing him as an RB2. He gets enough volume and he's been decent enough. I've been trying to acquire him everywhere. I don't know why, but I'm very high on him. Eckler's my RB2. Pacheco is my RB. Where the fuck is Pacheco? Oh, I'm high on Pacheco. That's why I couldn't find him. Pacheco is my RB8.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, he's a low-end RB1. He's been really good. His usage is off the charts. And he's one of the best offenses in the league. Like, he's catching passes. He gets the rushing work. There's touchdown upside along with it. And, yeah, I mean, Eckler's still one of the, top 2 running backs in fantasy. Like, if Eckler plays, he's just gold.
Man, do we go from yesterday where we had no good games to where with the Sunday – You know what? You get to Sunday or through the 4:00 games on Sunday, there's not a single fantasy football matchup that will be decided. You will have so many points scored on Sunday and Monday night. Like there's out of the top 40 players, I bet you 25 of them play in these two matchups. It's just
I bet. You got to get a giant lead if you have guys going early. Like you need a 100-point lead.
Yeah, if you don't have anyone in these leagues, hope your fucking lead is huge going into these games. So we've got wide receivers, 4th best matchup for the Dolphins, 24th best for the Chargers. Once again, I don't care. They're elite options. I'm playing them. I have Hill as my 1. I have Waddle as my 8.
Wait, which game are we doing? Chargers Chiefs, you mean?
I was too busy talking the Chiefs. I mixed my games there. Thank you.
Okay. I was like, hold on for a second. I'm confused.
No, I got two. I blended all four teams together in my mind. It is Chiefs Chargers, not Chiefs Dolphins. Thank you.
That would be fun to rank them all, though.
Now,
rank all 4 of these guys.
4th best matchup for the Dolphins, and I even said that it's not a great matchup for the Chargers. And then in my rankings, for some reason, I listed the Dolphins. But anyways, Keenan Allen is my 4. He is great. Let's make sure I've got the right game. Yes, Chiefs Chargers. I'm not dead yet. Okay, so I've got Keenan Allen at 4, and then I got a ways down for receiver because the Dolphins don't play in this game. My next one is low-end RB3. I have Josh Palmer and Rashee Rice back-to-back, and then nobody else. What are your thoughts here? Besides
I have Rice
playing this game.
That would be nice if we get those options too. I have Rice and Palmer back-to-back like I'm talking about, but I'm boosting Rice ahead. I'm just chasing the wide receiver 1, and Rice has been good. It's just he hasn't fully gotten the routes and like all the snaps yet. If he gets that, there is significantly more upside for him. Palmer is who he is. He's a solid like wide receiver 3. He'll give you that like 10 to 12 fantasy points each week. And Allen's Keenan Allen. Like he's just incredible for fantasy. So expect another 10 plus targets, another 20 plus points. Like that's just what Keenan Allen does.
All right, let's try and close this one out. I'm going to double check the game. Chargers at Chiefs. All right, I know which teams are playing in this, I promise. We got a middle of the pack matchup for Everett, who doesn't play on the Dolphins. That's why he's in this game. Avoiding him if I can. Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. I don't care if it's a bad matchup. You're playing him. So play Kelce, avoid Everett if you can, but desperate times, desperate measures. Bad matchup for Butker. He's been the best kicker in football, and it hasn't been close. I am starting him. Worst matchup in the league for Cameron Dicker on the Chargers. Not playing him. Defenses, don't want either part. 2nd worst matchup for Chiefs. 5th worst matchup for Chargers. Sit both defenses. And as far as tight end and kicker go, play both Chiefs. Sit both Chargers. And don't worry about the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, of these 2 defenses, if you're going to pick one, I'm picking the Chiefs defense. Like, their defense has just been a lot better. But, yeah, I don't want to play their defense this matchup. Yeah. And same thing with all that. It's just Kelce. It's all Chiefs. Like, just play the Chiefs. Sit the Chargers.
All righty. Well, that concludes a rather lengthy and chaotic NFL Week 7 AFC home game preview show. Good God, were the options today a whole lot better than yesterday. I wish I could have spread it out more, but it seems like they backloaded this week. For Aaron and Jesse, this concludes NFL Week 7 preview of the AFC home games. Thank you for tuning in to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Come back Sunday at noon, from noon until kickoff. We'll be doing live sit-start questions, some trade advice, all that shit right up there. It'll be normally, it's me, Jesse, Jeremy. Someone else normally joins us, not sure who, but we'll be here. And then we will be back Monday at noon as well for a recorded week recap. And then if you have any suggestions, feel free to message me on Twitter at FFMadScientist. Looking for 2 people to do a debate this week for this week's Wednesday episode of the Fantasy Court. This has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care. Have a good day.